This sound card means business. I mean, really, I think it was marketed for businesses. So that's weird, but we'll get into that a little later. So Windows Sound System, or WSS, was a standard created by Microsoft in 1992. Although many more Windows Sound System capable cards would come out later, this is the first one that came out and the only one that I know of that was released by Microsoft themselves. What really makes this card stand out is that WSS wasn't a Sound Blaster clone. It was designed to be really a competitor, whether that worked out or not, we'll get into later, but it's not really designed with Sound Blaster compatibility in mind. Although it does have some advantages over Sound Blaster in some ways, it is definitely a flawed product, but an interesting one on the evolution of early sound cards. So let's check it out. So as I mentioned earlier, WSS is standardized. The card itself uses off-the-shelf components that OEMs could work into a design to support the standard. The two main components for the specification are a Yamaha OPL3 for FM synthesis and an Analog Devices 1848 JP, or in some cases an 1845 for 16-bit digital sound processing. The advantages of using standardized hardware was that all sound cards supporting WSS would provide a consistent experience no matter who manufactured the card. This differs greatly from third-party cards that support Sound Blaster. The DSP chips used by Creative Labs were mostly proprietary, so if you were a third-party company trying to make a Sound Blaster capable card, you had to find different hardware or software workarounds. If you've watched some of my other videos or were around during this time with these sound cards, you'll likely know that it's pretty hit or miss, and very few sound cards that are not made by Creative are truly 100% Sound Blaster compatible in every application. Enough about the WSS standard for now though, let's talk about this Microsoft card. In 1992, this card was released as a package deal with a microphone, a pair of headphones, and a substantial 5-floppy software package for the price of $289. This positioned it in the market at a price that was $60 cheaper than the competing SB16, but near the same price as the older SB Pro. In terms of sound quality, this card will outperform an SB Pro in just about every way, as it supports a higher 44 kHz sample rate. The build quality also seems to be higher than anything Creative was putting out at the time, and it has a noticeably lower noise floor than first generation SB16s. If you shine a light through both cards, you can see right through the SB16, but the WSS card looks solid. Now, this might be a moronic test, and I don't know what I'm talking about, so feel free to correct me, but I feel like this might prove that the WSS card may have more PCB layers and might be more shielded from interference. One other thing that stands out on this card almost immediately is the fact that it has stereo RCA outputs. I can't think of too many cards from this era that include that feature, besides maybe the AW64 Gold. Not everything is excellent about this card though. It lacks many features that likely made most people prefer an SB16 or even an SB Pro, even if it was of inferior quality. The card doesn't really do much outside of providing sound in Windows. There's no wavetable header, CD-ROM interface, game port, or MIDI. Heck, it doesn't even have a way to route audio from the CD-ROM. Using it for DOS games is a bit of a nightmare as well, due to poor Sound Blaster emulation, which requires loading into a clean boot state with a driver that is a memory hog. I was hoping I may be able to use it with the Unisound driver with better results, but that doesn't appear to work, unfortunately. Even when the Sound Blaster emulation works, it either stutters or has the tendency to play back with the wrong sample rate. Looking at the bright side, on the rare occasion that a game does support WSS, it works very well and is completely driverless in DOS. And the same can be said of the FM playback. It works with minimal fuss and sounds quite nice. However, I can't help but think that the people who bought this card at the time were probably filled with regret at some point. If you wanted to play games or do multimedia things, most of it didn't work with this card. The total amount of supported games only sits at around 200 titles as well, and many of these are non-commercial shareware or games that came out years after this card was released. For early 90s computing, the value proposition of this thing just really doesn't make sense. Or does it? See, the problem is you're thinking that sound is something that should be fun. Sound isn't for fun, it's for spreadsheets, man. So in the most Microsoft move ever, this sound card is designed for business use. The Windows 3.1 driver package has a nice installer that sets everything up for you with minimal hassle, but the main draw here is the software suite. So you get a simple CD player program called Music Box, and a neat little program that plays a bunch of included MIDI files called Sound Finder. But the more interesting stuff is the speech and voice software. Using the included microphone, you get access to a primitive voice recognition software that can be used to load programs, much like the IBM voice type software I covered in a video last summer. I really wasn't kidding about the spreadsheets though. One of the programs that was talked a lot about in the reviews for this product at the time was the Proofreader software. This integrates into Excel or Lotus 123 and proofreads your spreadsheets using a speech generator. So future DOS Storm here. So this thing is actually even more worthless than I initially thought because it has an extremely limited dictionary, especially when compared to voice type even. And if it doesn't know a word, it will simply just spell it out. So I have a word here, expenses, which is one of the words that it can say.
Expenses.
Okay. But anything else, even words like need or just like very simple words, it won't say. So if I just type in a word here, it's just gonna spell it out.
O-O-P.
I don't know. Dumb. If that's not enough spreadsheet action for you, it can do even more than that. So there's also a voice recorder that allows you to embed voice annotations into your spreadsheets. Huh? I mean, that sounds infinitely useful, right?
Yeah, we need to buy more cheese.
Interestingly, a reviewer for PC Mag stated that no other single PC product is more likely to conjure up images of 2001: A Space Odyssey's HAL computer than the Windows sound system. Back to reality though. Outside of the excitement of the initial idea, I can't help but think that these gimmicks wore off quickly, and as a daily spreadsheet user myself, I can't really see any benefits to adding multimedia to my workflow. Let's move on and see what it sounds like though. I tested this card on my IBM PS1 486 Consultant with Windows 3.1, as well as my main Pentium 2 test rig with Windows 98 SE. I just wanted to test between these two systems to see if the Sound Blaster emulation was any better between them. Unfortunately, it didn't really make much difference. However, the drivers on Windows 95 and 98 are built into the OS, so it's even easier to get it working, and most of the games that properly support WSS came out in 94 or 95 anyway, so oddly it's almost a better fit. But enough about that, you probably just want to hear what the card sounds like, so let's listen to some samples and hear the good, the bad, and the ugly sounds this card can produce.
Enemy unit approaching from the east. Construction complete.
Reporting. Affirmative. Reporting. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Moving out. Yes, sir. Moving out. Yes, sir. Reporting. Affirmative. Reporting. Acknowledged. Yes, sir.